What's going on, guys? And welcome back to the Young Professional Show. Your host, Larry Lanny, here in the St. Petersburg market. I am here with Jacob, obviously out in Mesa, Arizona. We are one man down. Andrew is out of town, couldn't make it, unfortunately, but the show must go on. Nonetheless, we have a guest here today, Mr. James King Baskin. Coming to you from I don't even know where anymore. The guy's all over the place. He could be in Florida, Columbia. I think if I had to guess, I think Pennsylvania. The last time we spoke, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, man. And James has been a long time, friend of mine. First and foremost, sort of a business mentor. I've been a client of his at one point in time. First and foremost, friends and a mentor, somebody to bounce ideas and things off of when I get stuck or I need some help, and therefore brought him on. I respect the guy on a personal relationship level, on a business level, on many other levels, and I'm just stoked to kind of bring him on and pick his brain and give to our listeners. So what's going on, James?
Not much, man. I appreciate the intro, and likewise for everything that you said as well, for you and for my life as well.
Definitely. Yeah, awesome, man. And I guess just kind of to kick it off, like, why don't you intro yourself and sort of your own fashion and kind of like who you are, what you do, that kind of thing.
Yeah, appreciate that. So my name is James King Baskin, and I help businesses in the home service industry outsource with phone call follow-up, managing their CRM, managing their database. We have an outsourcing company. My company's called Outsource Kings. Predominantly at this moment to really specialize in the home service industry, general contractors, and working with the construction industry with remote teams, virtual assistants for contractors.
Wow.
Nice.
I'm, I'm curious, like what motivated you to start this? Because I feel like when I was looking at the company, I was like, there had to be something in the past that like motivated you to do this.
Yeah, it's a great question. So for me, Larry probably knows a little more about my backstory as well. I was an insurance agent, and I started outsourcing as an insurance agent. We definitely still have clients in that industry.
Hmm.
Um, really got clients in all kinds of industries, but we're predominantly now focused on home services. And I didn't have time to call my leads. I had, current clients, active clients, whatever you want to call it. I had leads coming in from Facebook, direct mail, email referrals, and I didn't have enough time with driving all over the place, all over Florida, working leads. I didn't have time to call people back. If they said, "Oh, I'm not interested, come back next week," I didn't have time for any of that crap. It was
Yeah.
like, I just had time. If you're an active buyer, I want to work with you. If you're like, got to think about it, call you back next month, I've already forgotten about you. And I definitely wasn't managing a CRM. So I started outsourcing, hiring people in the Philippines, virtual assistants, whatever you want to call them. I just call them employees. They really are employees.
Yeah.
And got about 10 employees now, and really just making use of those people and letting them help me in my business. And that's kind of how I got started my own business first, and then kind of offered it as a service to other people.
Yeah. That's cool, man. Let's back it up like before that, because obviously you work for yourself. You're a business owner, and like
Yeah.
obviously, like we are talking about, we don't have any sort of rhyme or rhythm to this. So we'll go in reverse for now. Like before
Sure.
that, what were you doing? I'm sure you worked for somebody. And like
Before
why'd you?
insurance?
Yeah. Before that, like what sort of like what was that leap into like working for yourself like, and why?
Yeah. Yeah. I hated my life, and I hated my job that I worked. uh, I what did I do for insurance? I think I was working Goodwill at the drug court program as a correction officer. I blocked that whole year of my existence out of my life. But uh, I hated my life. I hated what I did. I didn't like any bit and piece of that. And then smoking a cigar while I talk to you guys. And a buddy of mine got into insurance, and he's still like my best friend, and I think you know him too. Shout out to Bobby Stocks. Um, Bobby was in insurance, and I had always been like, I'd say a follower of his, and I was like, oh, and he was like, dude, you got to get into insurance. We got this system where you can buy these leads, and it's so funny. By the time I was in insurance and like got licensed and everything, he was already out of it. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to stay stuck here and do insurance now. And but yeah, I worked at corrections. I thought I was going to be a cop, and eventually along the way, I was like, yeah, I don't want to get shot at for shit pay and people that hate me. So
That's fair.
That's one way of looking at it. But so you pivoted into insurance.
mm,
I think I knew you back then in the insurance days,
yeah,
like the
yep,
beginning of our relationship, friendship.
yep.
Started kind of getting into orbit with each other, and now Outsource Kings is what it is. Let's talk about unless Jacob has anything he wants to add in between, that way we're not flip flopping back and forth.
Yeah, I was just curious. I know, like, obviously, making that jump from like your kind of 9 to 5 into doing insurance and then into the house outsource kings. That's probably a pretty scary experience. So I wanted to know like any advice you had for anyone out there listening who's in that situation that you were in.
Mm. So the question, I guess, just to clarify, would be like anyone that's like going from a job or like
Hmm.
having a system that where everything's provided for you to working full time for yourself,
Yeah,
like as a 1099, so to speak, or a W-2 person.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, my advice to anyone, if I could redo it again, would be actually maybe it's not the answer you're looking for, but it wouldn't to go work on your own. It would be to actually have some source of residual income coming in before
Hmm.
you go out on your own. If I could redo it all over again, and I don't know, hopefully this answers the question, I would get a sales job for someone and
Yeah.
in like maybe another outsourcer or something like that as a salesperson for them, calling their leads or like closing deals for them. I think way too many people, and anyone who's listening or you guys probably have plenty of people in your sphere of influence that that starts their own business, whatever that is, whether
Hmm.
it's landscaping, IT services, lawyer, you name it, and they think that all these people are going to rush to them and hire them, and then they just sit there broke and they go out of business real quick.
Hmm.
And if I could, if I could redo it all over again, I would definitely would not do what I did, but I definitely think I had a little bit more of a crutch than most people because I had insurance residuals, a couple $1,000s a month, which was just like the bare minimum of like my needs and
Yeah.
expenses coming in, and it allowed me to take that leap. But if I didn't have any money coming in, like it makes sense why you hear someone that's like, I'm starting my own business, and it's like, well, what money do you have? And if they don't have a bank loan or something like that, it's like, dude, you're gonna fucking get a job real quick.
Yeah. No, I like that. Risk it, but be smart about it too. Basically, what you're
Yeah,
saying.
sales job is the best route to go, and I say sales job because a sales job you're getting leads provided for you, you're getting real
Right.
time experience in whatever you're doing. Like if I was gonna just all of a sudden be a realtor or whatever that looks like, I don't know. I would probably take a job that allowed me to learn the industry versus just jumping into it. I would take a low base salary where I actually have
Hmm.
a base salary, cover my needs, leads are given to me, and then also like lose the entitlement. I think that's a big problem with a lot of people nowadays is the entitlement. They like want these high contracts or the highest commission possible,
Hmm.
and they haven't sold shit. And so it's like lose the entitlement. Also, it's like if someone like I can't speak real estate, I'll speak insurance. Like if someone put me at like a 30% commission, they said, hey, we're going to give you $45,000 a year. You're at a 30% commission, and we're going to give you all your leads. I'd be like, okay, cool. And the issue with a
Mhm.
lot of people is they're like, well, I'm worth 100% commission. It's like, well, then you don't get a base salary then, and go ahead and generate your own leads.
Right.
You know, easy as that.
Hmm.
So I think if I were redoing it, I would work for someone that gave me a base salary, because then you're not like selling like your back's against the wall, and you're not like, you know, I don't know, spamming people in the DMs just to make your house payment or whatever. It's like, you know, you're comfortable and you're working a job, and then when you can, you probably have to sign like a non-compete depending on the industry you're in. But like when you can, go out on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a good point too, because not only do you get your foot in the door, you get an opportunity to see if it's something you really even want to pursue at that next level. But then you get
Yeah,
to see the backstage perspective of like what's working, what's not working, how is the funnel
exactly.
kind of designed, um, so on and so forth. It's good advice. That's actually, it's funny because I didn't know it then, but I know it now. That's exactly how I got into real estate. I took a draw, so it was like a super low salary, and leads were provided. I just nailed down the sales cycle and the process, and then kind of went out and did your
Yeah,
traditional.
and you made money for whoever gave you that draw, and the value there was, you know, whatever that looked like, Larry, was when you were new. But the value there was, you're new, you're asking a bunch of questions, you're taking up someone's time with those questions, and that person's getting paid on the back end when you close deals. So it's like it's a win-win for both sides, and so that's what I would do. I think way too many people, and I can't say that it was my full experience, because I did have a couple $1,000s a month coming in, but I think way too many people are like, I'm going to be this insert thing, and I'm going to make all this money. Now, I do think, now, eh, home services, like if you have experience and you're a construction guy, you can easily start doing jobs for yourself, and then all of a sudden take that leap if you have the right amount of money saved up and stuff like that. So it always matters. Like, context matters. You know what I mean? I think the numbers, I don't have them in front of me. I just looked at them. Since 2022, I think 32,000 realtors have exited the market
Hmm.
and switched on. I forget the number. I forget what it is, but it's super, super high. So 32,000 realtors are no longer a realtor. And, you know, they probably were all the best intention, and they, had their little powwow talk and their coffee, and said, I'm going to be a realtor today, and I'm going to close deals. And then all of a sudden they fizzled out, and you know, best intention, working for themselves, all that stuff. But, you know, probably didn't have a good support system, probably didn't have money to back themselves, all kinds of stuff. But yeah, I could go on and on for that.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, I wrote down a few things, even though, like I said earlier, I know you very well. I wrote down a few things I wanted to talk about,
Sure.
about what you do well that could be applicable to really any business, and what I've
Yeah.
seen you do well. First of which is branding slash social media, we'll call it, because for those that don't know, and Jacob, I don't know if you went far back on his social handles to
Hmm.
see, but like when James first launched Outsource Kings, it was like everybody was like, "What does James do?" Like, but they saw him multiple times a day running around, in Colombia with a cape and a king and a
Dude,
staff and a king hat.
I did see that, and that was super cool. It's like a mascot. But I
Yeah,
am I am curious how that like got brought up and
Uh,
why.
yeah, no, and that's also another thing that, looking. It's funny, like all these things helped me out early on, but all these things I probably, if I could go back again, I would probably not do. I was focused more on branding than actually making sales, and so
Hmm.
like I'm happy I did it. I'm going to answer your question, but the funniest instance I ever had was these guys, and they were in Hong Kong. I had a call with. They booked a call with me, and they were super successful business owners. And they were on a call with me. They've been following me for a while. Ethan Sim, I think his name was. Um, and they're like, I tell business owner, what crown at? And so I literally got the crown for these guys. I'm kind of trying to do their accent right now over in Hong Kong, and Asian business owners, and they were like, what crown? I tell business partner. And I'm like, all right. And I like put the crown on, and dude, they went like ape shit nuts. And they were like, and it was so funny because they were like, do you have a coaching program that we can buy? And it was, and looking back on this, I was an idiot. I said no. And these guys definitely had some fucking loot. And, they weren't like, play around business guys. Like they're living in Hong Kong. They've got a business. And I was like, no. And they're like, oh, well, we'll just keep following you. And I just definitely kissed that sale goodbye. But then after that, I was like, I'm never telling someone, no, we don't have something if I can build it. Like Larry was a coaching student of ours, and, you know, we've pretty much, I don't know if Larry knows this, but we've doubled the price of entry to buy into that program. And we've made our first sale at the new price point of that, which is double what Larry paid, which is pretty awesome, I think. And helping the business owners in that area. But um, the thing that brought up the king and the crown for branding purposes, I think was an early on client, like actually the first client that ever paid me, actually. And I was just talking about this story yesterday to someone. It's the first client that ever paid me. And I know I'm kind of smoking my cigar and I'm feeling real smug about that. But I will say, when you're in business, like never get too cocky, for anyone or anything, because like I could easily say, oh, hey Larry, how many people are going to hear this? Is this worth my time? Is this going to be, bring me money, and say, it's not going to be worth it. Or I could say, hey, what can I bring to this? And I say that because the first client that ever hired me, he was like, dude, you're the Outsource King. And I hadn't even called myself that or my company name yet. And then a couple other people said that, including a guy that I look up to, who, shit, we've got 10 employees. He's probably got a virtual assistant company. I know he had one account alone that had 100 employees that was paying him $100,000 a month. So I can't even tell you how big this guy's company was, but he gave me a compliment, sent me a letter in the mail, basically said like, you're the future king, like all these positive things that was really cool, I think. And going back to what I was saying, like never get too cocky, too confident to do something. I'm talking about myself. This guy that was my first client, not the mentor, but the first client, he hired me. And then we had some things happen where he kind of like disappeared for a little bit. And then he came back later, like 6 months later, and he wanted some help. And I was like super cocky. And I was like, yeah, you got to pay me again for that. And blah, blah, blah. And all he was doing was asking some questions. I wasn't even making, like, at the time, like $10,000 a month. I was making probably 50 or 60. So I have no reason to be cocky. And now that guy's got an 8-figure valuation company. And now he's got access to the clients that I need. So it's funny how that shit happens. Like, and he literally used to brag, first client ever for James King Baskin. He used to brag that shit, which definitely I would love to have that guy shouting out right now. And now I see him all over podcasts. I see him getting interviewed by some big name people in the insurance industry. And quite frankly, I did make amends to that person in a way. I did talk to him and I said, hey, look, that was wrong of me, kind of thing, for how I went about it. And we definitely kind of squashed it. And I might actually have dinner with him in Jupiter, Florida, in a week or two from now. And I definitely will probably bring that up again, because it definitely never sat right with me. Now, like, why do I bring that up? Well, because I also think as younger entrepreneurs, we can get this, like, the whole world owes me something mentality. And it's like, I'm fucking coming on, man. Like, fucking watch out. Like, dude, you guys, motherfuckers, man, I've been kicked around for so long. Like, I'll fucking show you. And then all of a sudden it's like, corporate client spends $1,000 with me, gets busy because he's got a fucking huge company. 6 months later, he comes back and he's like, hey, can you help me out? Not even asking for his money back. Hey, can you help me out? And I'm like, dude, you can't just fucking come back 6 months later. Like, sure. Like, it was like he played a part, so to speak, but also the way I went about it was so stupid. It was like, I literally told him, I said, when you go to Publix and they give you cheese or meat, you can't return it 6 months later. And he was like, F you.
that, that was your analogy for why his business was no good. Man.
embarrassing. And I literally got to watch that guy leave the company he was a part of, start a company, and within the same time period of after he hired me, he quit a job that he was at, started his own company, and within I think 3 to 4 years, that company's already got an 8-figure valuation, and I was addicted to him. You know what I mean? And so it's like, you know, it is what it is. But why I say that, because you never know when you're early on starting off. You know, you're branding yourself, you're trying to make a name for yourself. You don't know who that person is that remembers that shit. And this guy 100% remembers that shit. And you know, so be nice to everyone on the way up.
For
Yeah,
sure. Love that.
definitely.
Yeah, yeah. Where do you see yourself in like the next 5 to 10 years? Like what type of goals do you have?
Hmm. Yeah, the next 5 to 10 years, we just mapped out our stuff on an EOS system right now. 5 years, definitely. I think 5 year we said was $500,000 a year, which I think is low. And then I think we did 7 years, $1 million a year, um, coaching program. So when people hire us, they can come down and visit our employees, and then they can even hire people from us that we manage. We already do that, but I mean like an actual coaching program that we charge yearly to be a part of. And then it's like I can bring guests on and all kinds of different people to speak inside of it, and have my own mastermind. That's
Okay.
definitely, you know, what I see. And that's
Mhm.
like 5 years. I definitely see having my own mastermind. And I say it like, not like, oh, 5 years from now I'm going to launch it, but like 5 years from now, it's filled with plenty of people. We've got a conference yearly. We've got people flying down to Colombia, hanging out with us. You know, we're doing shit like actual business shit, not just like, hey, let's have food fun in Colombia, but like actual building business shit in Colombia for our members.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and then probably an English school in the next 10 years. A school that teaches English in Colombia that's free.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's the stuff that I have mapped out, and I do talk about that. I don't think I've ever talked about it on the podcast, but I talk about that with people in Colombia. Um, English course is probably the next thing that happens, and then eventually 5 to 10 years is going to be an actual English school to where mothers or fathers can have their kids go to daycare, and then we provide daycare for free, and then they can learn English for free, and then when they graduate, I'll have the corporate or business partners that want to hire from those candidates. So it's like a funnel, and then I get paid by the American businesses, and then I also provide the schooling, you know, daycare. I control all of that, and I provide a valuable service, and then they get a job. So, and then I get paid by the corporate sponsor. We'll call it like, hey, you know, we want 5 employees. It's like, okay, well, that's going to be $2,000 a month per an employee, and here's all the people that you can pick from, and that kind of thing.
Yeah. The school is super interesting. I haven't heard that one. What brings that? Why do you want to do something like that?
Um, I want to do something like that because it's giving back to the community, and
Mhm.
then also it's taking care of people, and it's very scalable, and
Mhm.
it's also uh, mutualism. I think in business, there needs to be a mutual benefit for everyone that's fair for everyone, and
Mhm.
whatever that looks like. So I think there needs to be something that's fair for both myself to provide for my own business and my own needs and my own growth, employees,
Mhm.
and then also our clients, which is, you know, the end user. And so, you know, for our clients to provide a tangible service that's, you know, reasonable and affordable is the biggest thing that they're looking at, and actually like the work gets done right. And
Right.
then for the employees, it's like they're treated fairly. You know, they're given an opportunity, and that's where I come in. And the opportunity is like, hey, we'll teach you English and we'll train you how to work for American business owners. And the amount of people that probably would want to hire for that is endless. And, you know, that's why we also want to niche down to one specific thing. So it's like, hey, construction virtual assistants is the big thing that we look at. It's like, hey, if we can find contractors that want to hire these people, we control everything. We control the source. We control the job opportunity. You know, we control the monitoring of the employee with an actual location, and then our clients can visit the location as well, and they can actually see the work getting done on site. So it's a very controlled environment versus just like, hey, I'm hiring someone, I'm paying them weekly, I don't really know if they're doing the work, but I'm paying them. It's like there's a lot of variables in there that just it wouldn't make sense for a business to operate out of.
Right. Heck yeah.
Yeah, that's a really it's a really good idea because like when you first started going into it, I was like, he's just gonna make a school and everything's free and he's gonna teach these people and like although I hope you get to a place at one point in your business where you can just build schools, teach people for free, and it's just completely altruistic. Um, there's more value. It doesn't sound like that's what it is. There's more value in it for the potential employee, the student who turns employee, and there's more value in it for the business owner than it is for Outsource Kings. It sounds like, and you're still, I'm sure, happy with the outcome of like you said, $2,000 per employee.
Yeah,
So
whatever I charge. I mean, I think um, on the massive scale, and I've already like predicted this and envisioned it or whatever, and this is like 10-year type thinking. On the massive scale, um, bee flying around. On the massive scale, I see the government getting involved and like I wouldn't say attacking me, but basically like um, attack them would be the best way to say it. And we make the news in Colombia, not in a positive way, but it brings attention to what we're doing. So it's like Amazon, for instance. Amazon's in Colombia, eBay's in Colombia. They outsource a lot of their customer service there. How come they don't have a school in South America to provide more jobs? And so the impact would be other companies see what we're doing, and that encourages them to do something bigger on their end. So I don't have the resources that they have 100%, and maybe I never will, probably not. They have huge resources and budgets and all kinds of stuff. They literally are building Amazon fulfillment centers in Colombia and also just like straight up warehouses and warehouses full of people that are going to work. How come they don't have a school that teaches people English? That would be what funnels or provides people, because you need people to run a business. And so that would be what I think for like a long term vision. And then if I have people that are in school, they're also not on my payroll because I'm helping them for free. Technically, they kind of are on a payroll because they're learning English, but I'm giving back to them. And then the value that they bring is once they learn English, when they get a job, I place them, and I'm getting paid on that, and I have a good margin on that. And I think anyone that wants to be in that program, Colombian, Venezuelan, Nicaraguan, whatever whoever it is, they also probably understand like, hey, this guy taught me English from nothing, took care of my kids, found me a job, a good paying job. He pays me a decent wage, provide for my family that I couldn't have done before. Who cares if he makes a little bit of money off of what I'm doing? You know what I mean? He literally took me from point A to point B, didn't ask them to pay a dime, taught them English out of my own pocket with tutors and all kinds of stuff. And so anyone that like gets upset with that, I think just a term of not a right fit, for us to teach English to or work in our program, and shit like that's going to happen. You're going to have people that are like, oh, I'm not happy here anymore. It's like, okay, cool. If you want to go find a job speaking English and work for another company, you can do that. Like they're not a prisoner or a slave to Outsource Kings. They can go work for someone else, but they just wouldn't be like in our program anymore for Colombians.
yeah, that's cool, man. And so like, how much are you doing still on social media as far as like business acquisition, getting your clients? I know, from what it looked like, that's how it kind of launched.
Yeah, still a lot, a ton. I got a call. Like it's very busy nowadays, and like it's hard to keep track of all my social channels anymore. So a lot of what becomes my outsource needs is me hiring people to help me with my social media stuff. So I have a call with a girl, uh, young lady, I think probably like in early 20s, and she might even be younger, 19, and she knows social media better than I do in some channels, and hiring out my weaknesses in those areas. So Facebook, I've got that locked down, and I definitely plan to do more with that. And I want to only focus on Facebook for myself. But this girl, the way she kind of sold me as working for me, and she's in Medellin, um, is that she's a college student. She's a social media degree or business degree, and but she specializes in social media management, and she wants to do my LinkedIn stuff. And we've been doing a lot with LinkedIn already. And we definitely, when we get referrals from LinkedIn, those people, they generally want to pay like 2 to 3 grand a month for some of the services that we offer. And just hire high caliber client. And I asked her if she can also do TikTok and Instagram content for me. So the success that I see in a hire like that is maybe I spend 300, $400 a month, whatever it costs for me to hire her. I mean, I haven't done the math on all that stuff yet, but she would then be responsible for creating my LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok content. I don't have to worry about that. I can send her a video. She can either use different software. You got AI software now that can chop and edit things for you. And then she can post that content or, do what she has to for revisions and all kinds of stuff. And then now we've got that social media channel covered, and it would be almost like I'm posting it myself, but really it's my social media manager managing my Instagram account, managing my LinkedIn account, managing my TikTok account. Because I can tell you, when I post on TikTok, the way that we do it isn't me as the content. It's actually a lot of the women that work for me, and they make engaging videos. They know what works. If you go on my TikTok, you can probably find some. These Colombian women, they'll make the videos, including themselves. They'll make these funny videos, and it's all about new employees looking to work for us or people looking to hire us. And, they're not dancing or doing any of that kind of shit, but like, they're making content that's funny and engaging. And to be quite frank with you, I don't have the capacity to handle that. And we're actually hiring again for that. We did it last year, and we had a girl that worked for us for a little while. And then now we're looking for another person. And I think I found that person. But that social media content, when I was doing the TikTok stuff, dude, all kinds of different people that were in my funnel that I can't get a hold of, liking, commenting on shit. And I was like, dude, they're on all these different channels, and it doesn't mean that just because they're not on Facebook. So every channel is like my focus.
Yeah, I think that's you know the only way of doing it nowadays, because there are so many channels. With
Yeah.
this last week
Mhm.
is just a reminder of that. Threads dropped. I'm sure everybody knows about it or is using it, right? And it's just like there's not going to be any less plats that none of them are going to fall off. The ones that are here to stay. There's only going to be more, if any, in the future, and you kind of have to be on them all, right?
Yep.
But how can you yourself, as a business owner, having to take appointments throughout the day or manage your business, whatever it is you do in your business, how do you do that? How do you stay consistent on every platform? There's just no way that you can, because you're not optimizing your reach, your engagement, your business effectively if you're not on all of them. Because like you said, James, like maybe 10% of your database is on TikTok. You know,
Yep.
they might have profiles on them all, but like me specifically, I'm on Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah.
Like that's what I look at daily. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
if you're running ads through Facebook, you're not going to get my business. Somebody
Yep.
else might be Snapchat and Facebook.
I know a
You know,
girl in the mortgage industry, a woman, I should say, not a girl, a woman in the mortgage industry. Um, and I forget her TikTok handle, but it's not important. But she She focused only on TikTok, and now she gets 100% of her business all from the TikTok videos that she makes. And she makes jokes about people that are buying a home, mortgage broker jokes, people buying a home jokes, and Rebecca the mortgage lady, and she literally gets people DMing her about buying a home. Probably 90%. I mean, I haven't read the comments in a while, but she gets all these haters on there. They're like, "Whose mom's on TikTok making these videos?" All these people talking shit, broke people usually, and but then she gets people in the DMs that are like, "Hey, I want you to sell my home," just from like her making TikToks. And she's also in a good area. I think she's in Nashville or Charlotte. I think she's actually Charlotte. Sorry, I'm back up. Charlotte. And she gets people in that area that all want her to sell their homes for her or to buy a home when they move to that area. And she just makes funny jokes about mortgage and real estate industry. And she's been doing that now for 4 years, 3 years now. And so she's so established that she gets 100% of her business from TikTok.
Nice. Yeah. What would you recommend to somebody who's looking to hire for a social media manager? How would you go about getting one?
Yeah, I would first, set out with what your goals are. Like, it's not a service that we offer. It's just a service that I've hired for in the past. I would set out what your goals are, and that's what I liked about this girl when she interviewed with me. She had a bunch of questions for me, like what I wanted to accomplish, what I wanted to achieve, so to speak. Um, and that was unique. It wasn't like her being like, "Yo, here's my content I've created. Here's all these cool things." She was like, "What do you want to achieve?" And I was like, "Huh." Because if I just looked at her social media, I'd be like, she's shit. You know what I mean? She can't do this. And instead, she's like, "What do you want to accomplish?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's interesting." So we have an interview today, and I would say, find out what you want to do first, and then I would think the next thing is the person that you interview, you know, ask them for some samples of what they think they can do for your business and see if it lines up with what you want, right? And that's what I'm going to ask her to do next is like, "Hey, can you show me some things that you think that we should do?" And pay them for that also. If it's a matter of like, "Hey, I want you to create sample posts for the next week as a uh, probation period or a challenge," pay them for that. You know what I mean? "Hey, I'll give you $50 for the next week, $100, whatever you want to pay them. If you create these social media posts, and then this is like a trial period, I'll pay you for it. And if I like it, I'll keep you on. If not, we just part ways and I still pay you." That's what I would do.
Yeah.
100%. Do you still pull out the cape and crown?
Uh, I used to travel around with the king crown on, and I rarely do anymore. I don't even travel with it anymore. Now instead, it's more cool shit that I do with it versus me on the airplane looking like the, you know, Burger King. And
That's what I was thinking.
we have an annual kids party, and this
Yeah.
last year was fucking dope, man. We spent a lot of money on this kids party. I brought in a photographer. I don't think I brought a DJ in. I brought in a face painter, and then I hired the face painter for myself for a few hours, and she painted myself. She painted me. Have you ever seen like Game of Thrones?
Mm-hmm.
She painted me as a White Walker, and so I was the king White Walker dude.
Yeah.
And then I also rented horses, and we had these like full grown horses for the kids party, for the kids to ride the horses. And so there's this like awesome picture of me on a horse, and of like dope. You can find it, I guess, on my social media somewhere. And this dope White Walker face, like, dude, it literally took her like 2 hours of face painting, and like that's the cool shit now versus like me just wearing a crown.
Yeah.
Like okay, cool, but like okay, kids party and like all these kids and me with a crown and cape, that's dope to me.
It's dope, but it's also like, I don't want to say confusing. It's just wild to see your social handles. It's just like James running around with with his crown. He's at a party. There's horses. It's wild.
Yeah, it is wild. You know what I mean? We had the mini horses years ago when I first said I was going to do it, and then this past year after the whole COVID thing died down, we brought in multiple horses again, And yeah, no, it's fun shit. It's fun shit. It really is, dude. It's then it was just so wild. Then I have like girls I'm hanging out with wearing the crown and shit like that, and it it's interesting. But the thing that I think of the most, like looking back on all of it, is like also the businesses need to mature in some ways. Like I'm not so corporate that I can't do it, but also I realize now, like I'm just in a more serious place, and it's still fun, but also I don't have the time or energy to run around. I mean, it got started, Jacob, and I didn't really answer your question when you asked it specifically. It got started because someone called me the Outsource King, and then what really kind of kicked it off was the elections were really crazy back in, what was it,
2020.
2016 or
Oh, the
whatever,
2016, yeah.
I think it was. And there was like these local elections happening,
Mm-hmm.
and all these people, and you see it in any city that anyone lives in. You see these people like on the street holding signs for their candidate, and
Yeah.
they're all like in a crowd together holding signs for their candidate for local elections. And I said, I'm going to go in that crowd. I'm going to have a yard sign that says "Vote James King Baskin for Outsourcing King," and I'm going to wear a cape and crown. And I went in that crowd just for a photo op, and these people were like, "What the fuck is going on?" And then like I held up a sign that said "Vote James King Baskin for Outsourcing King." I don't even know where that photo's at. It's got to be 2017, 2018 now at this point. And I went in this crowd of all these people like for their local senator bullshit, and I was
Bullshit.
like, when's the last time we had a king? This is like the least controversial but hilarious. And I put up this whole thing like vote for James Baskin for king of outsourcing.
Nice.
Dude, that's awesome.
It's
Yeah.
cool because now it's like, you get to do the cool things because you've scaled and I'm assuming bought a lot of your time back through hiring, you know, getting stuff off your plate and hiring and expanding your business down in Colombia. What would be like your best suggestion for that? People struggling to like make it to that next tier.
Yeah, there's a really good book I'm reading right now. And obviously, shout out to my book. If you want a copy of my book, I'll give you a copy of my book on outsourcing for free. There's also another really good book called Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell that I'm going through. Is a software engineer that it should be the goal for everyone is not like work and grind your face off. It's like have systems and people in your business in place to where when you take time off, your business grows. Like my buddy's got a multi-million-dollar company down in Naples, and I was listening to him talk, and this is the inspiration for where I'm at, and I'm not there yet. He said that when he took time off from his business, that his business actually grew more, and I thought like not only is that freedom, but that's growth, which is huge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's one thing if it's like freedom and I can make sales and grow the business, but I don't have to worry about fulfillment. But another thing if growth occurs, and the only way that occurs through is people and systems. That's why you hear everyone talk about like AI and all these buzzwords bullshit, but like it's not as simple as that. It's actually having systems in your business and the right people in place to accomplish that. Yes, there's tools and resources that can do that, but it's actually having like your systems in order for that. If you put someone in a business and you don't know what you want them to do, they're probably not going to perform too well. But if you know what you want them to do and you put them in your business and it's organized and you like know exactly what you're looking for, you put the right person in that business. It's just a matter of being like, okay, they can do their work. I can see that they can do their work, and they can monetize and optimize my time. So for me, that's like training new employees, um, making phone calls. Like I don't do any of that stuff. Like if you call my Google right now, more than likely it's going to forward to a number, and hopefully one of my team members answers, which they have, and that person's then going to try to book that into an appointment. And same thing for our clients' work. So it's like that's not coming to me. That work is getting done, but there's levels to this stuff, right? It's I was listening to Dan's book, and Dan was talking about going skiing with Richard Branson, if you know who that is, business billionaire mogul, and he's not answering his phone for all the companies that he's running. Like he's got someone that does that probably manages the people that does that,
Mhm.
Yep.
and that should be the goal of people in their business. I think it I don't know the best definition of it, but like you have to go through stuff in order to go to the next level. And I think a lot of people, when they go through stuff, it's painful, it's new, it's uncomfortable, and they quit. They say, I don't want to do this. This is not fun. This is not cool. And they quit. Like we had a client, and I can't unfortunately really kind of divulge the name of them because it is a huge brand that we worked with, and um, they basically screwed us over. Is the long and short of it. Now I could take it as like, man, this is just what happens when you work with big brands. They're all going to screw you, or blah blah blah, victim mentality.
Mhm.
Or I can say, hey, you know what? I was provided the opportunity to work with a huge corporation and provide a service to them. And guess what? They told me that I'm capable of doing that for other companies. And now I know that I can grow from this. And I was able to move on from that pretty quickly. There were, lawyers contacted, all kinds of stuff that I probably would be the right thing to do. And then it was like, hey, you know what? This is cheaper to move on. This is, an experience for me, and this is what's building me up for the next thing, and I actually find gratitude in it. So it's like, yeah, this sucked. Yeah, I got kind of screwed in this deal. Yeah, you know what? I'm not happy in this moment. I'm not going to go on my way to have dinner with these people, but at the same time, it's like, hey, you know what? I'm glad that happened because now I can go to the next level. And so now they did something for me, that experience, and you can't get that in a book. You can't get that in a course. You can't get that in some AI program bullshit that anyone can buy for $20. It's like you actually have to go through that shit. And most people, unfortunately, they can't handle that shit. And there might be shit at the next level that I might not be able to handle, to be completely truthful.
Yep.
And that's the importance of a mentor. That's the importance of having resources like this, like a show you can listen to, and bring people on. You can hear their experience. They talk about, and some of you guys might know, the message has to have depth and weight. And depth and weight is like substance, actual importance, actual applicable guidance, advice, not just like, yeah, I became successful. Well, what'd you do? Oh, I went through some shit. But what did you actually go through? Oh, some shit. Well, no, what was the shit? You know what I mean? And if you're not going into that, and that's what I don't like about a lot of like people's success stories. They don't want to ever talk about the failures, and it's like, dude, there's so many fucking failures. Like I learn more from failure than I do from success.
100%. Dude, yeah.
Definitely, man. That's awesome. We're coming up on the 1 hour mark here, so one last opportunity for anybody to get their questions out. James, to kind of tie it in and wrap it up if there's anything left to kind of explore.
Dude, yeah. I mean, yeah, I appreciate you coming on, dude. The positivity is amazing. You had a
Appreciate
lot
it.
of great advice. What's the book called? I want you to share
Uh,
the book.
how to hire virtual assistants and manage appointment setters. So if you search "Outsource Kings" on
Mhm.
Amazon, that's where you'll find it.
Okay.
It's the best place. So
I'm gonna read that book. So heck yeah. And
All
then
right.
what is it, just Outsource Kings on all social media platforms?
yes. Mhm.
Beautiful. All
Yeah,
right, well yeah.
Instagram I'm on. Facebook's the platform I'm on the most though.
All right.
Nice. Well, cool, man. I appreciate it, man. It's always good
Likewise.
to dig in and chat and pick your brain a bit. So
Likewise. Thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah,
yeah,
thank you, brother.
like, subscribe. We'll see you next week, and thanks again to James.
Awesome. Thanks again, guys.
Cool, man.